What are the biggest red flags that you should watch for at the car dealer? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. The severe car shortage over the past couple of years led to a huge increase in car prices. Not just from the automakers, but from many dealers trying to price gouge consumers in a variety of ways. As a consultant and a consumer advocate, I help hundreds of consumers every single year with their car deals. And these are the worst dealer tactics that I see happen over and over again that can cost you thousands of dollars. But before getting into it, a huge thanks to OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator, for sponsoring a portion of this video. So let's start with the first dealer tactic that I see happen way too often, which is when the dealership forces you to pay for unnecessary add-ons, otherwise known as tied selling. It has become way too common for dealers to automatically charge a variety of add-ons and unnecessary fees to make extra profit. My nonprofit organization recently did a survey on 1,500 consumers who purchased a new vehicle in the past 2 years. And incredibly, nearly half of them said that they were forced to pay for add-ons that they didn't want. Some of the most common add-ons on dealer contracts include anti-theft, etching, or security protection, nitrogen, key fob or wheel and tire protection, and a variety of insurance and warranty products. And oftentimes, these add-ons can inflate the price of the vehicle from several hundred to even a few $1,000s. Here is just one example of a typical dealer contract that I see all the time. We can see that this vehicle, a 2024 Hyundai Elantra, has a price of just over $28,000. But unfortunately, the dealership has added nearly $4,500 in fees and add-ons to the price. These include an admin fee of $599, a value package for $699, pre-delivery expenses of $798, wheel locks for $149, and paint and fabric protection for nearly $2,000, all of which are completely unnecessary. And to me, the worst part of it is that many dealerships automatically put all these add-ons onto the contract without even telling you about it, hoping that you're not going to catch it. And when they get away with that, I actually consider that to be a form of theft, because the dealership is making you pay for things that you're not even aware of. So when you negotiate a deal, make sure that you carefully look over the price breakdown and identify and question any add-ons, and insist that they be removed if you don't want them. Unfortunately, it still isn't technically illegal for dealerships to use tied selling in Canada, but it is illegal under the Federal Trade Commission in the US. So if you do catch a dealership that's attempting to use tied selling, I would threaten to report that dealership if they refuse to cooperate with you. Now, the next dealer tactic that you really need to watch for is if the dealership forces you to finance when you want to pay cash, or if they just charge a huge price premium on a cash purchase. Just as with add-ons, financing is a huge profit maker for dealers. They often receive a substantial kickback on financing deals, and in the US, dealers are even allowed to mark up the interest rate by up to 2% over their buy rate, again adding a lot of profit to the deal. This is why some dealerships charge a huge price premium if you want to pay cash, and some don't even allow you to pay cash at all. I've seen plenty of dealers that tell the consumer that they only do financing deals and cash buyers have to go elsewhere, which is absolutely absurd. Now, many wonder whether you should just not tell the dealership that you're planning to pay cash and save that for later on. Well, you can always just tell the dealership that you haven't decided yet whether you're going to finance or pay cash, and that way you can just negotiate the total price first. And you should also check the dealer website. Are they being clear that they don't accept cash buyers? And is the price on the advertisement clearly say whether it's a cash price or a financing price? Well, if this information is not being properly disclosed in the advertising, I think you can make a pretty big fuss and threaten to report that dealership. And speaking of disclosing the proper information in advertisements, that brings us to the third dealer tactic to watch for, which is the old bait and switch. I've seen this one many times before. A consumer will come across a dealer ad that looks very desirable. Perhaps it's a model that's very hard to find that's in high demand, or one that has a very attractive looking price or payments that makes it look like the deal of the century. But when you contact the dealership, it turns out that that vehicle doesn't exist, or it's not available, or the real price ends up being way higher than the price that you saw in the advertisement, which is totally wrong. This is called bait and switch because the dealer is trying to bait you or lure you in with a deceptive but enticing looking ad, which ultimately ends up being too good to be true. Remember, when things look too good to be true, they often are, at least when it comes to car deals. But what's important to remember is that in certain regions, such as here in Ontario, dealerships are required to follow certain rules. And one of those rules is all-in price advertising. OMVIC is responsible for enforcing your consumer protection rights under the MVDA, which includes all-in price advertising. This means that if a dealer advertises a vehicle, the price you see must already include all fees and charges except for sales tax and licensing. Not only does the vehicle need to be available for the advertised price, but it must also be available on the lot, available to purchase. All-in price advertising has been the law in Ontario for over a decade now, and other provinces and regions also have their own very similar all-in price advertising rules. So when you're shopping for a vehicle, make sure you take a copy or a screenshot of the ad and take it with you to the dealership to compare it against the price that they give you there. And if the dealership's price ends up being higher than the price that you saw in the advertisement, just report that dealership to OMVIC. For more information about your car buying rights and all-in price advertising, just visit the OMVIC website. More information can be found in the description below. So now let's say you got into the point in the deal where you've negotiated a really good price. You're not paying for any unnecessary fees and add-ons, and maybe you've even managed to negotiate a really good discount on the vehicle. Well, even at this stage in the process, there are some tactics that you still need to watch out for. And one of those tactics is if the dealership is attempting to hide or withhold any incentives that you might be eligible for. I've seen this happen when a particular vehicle is eligible for certain incentives, like a cash rebate or credits, which should show on the contract in the form of a discount. But the dealer doesn't include them, possibly in an attempt to pocket that money for themselves. So it's very important that you do a bit of research on the manufacturer's website to not only learn what the price of the vehicle should be, but also what the incentives you may be eligible for. You can find this information on the website under the shopping tools section, sometimes called special offers or offers and promotions. And if you are eligible for any incentives, make sure that the dealership includes them on the contract. And that brings us to the next tactic that you need to watch out for, which is getting lowballed on your trade-in vehicle. If you manage to negotiate an amazing deal on your new vehicle, the dealer may try to make some of that money back by lowballing you on your trade-in, on the back end of the deal. So don't let this happen to you, and make sure that you take advantage of instant cash offer tools that are available online so that you can get a really good price for your trade-in. You can get an instant cash offer from websites like CarMax, Carvana, AutoTrader, and Clutch. These are real-world offers from dealers that will give you an accurate idea of what your vehicle is worth. Take the best one and see whether the dealership will match it or even beat it. It is really unfortunate that just getting a fair deal can sometimes be really challenging, but the good news is that the authorities are starting to catch on, and the Federal Trade Commission in the United States is even introducing new rules that are going to crack down on these tactics and the bad, unprofessional dealers. The new rules are going to prohibit misrepresentation, require dealers to advertise the real all-in price, and dealers must tell the consumer that all add-ons are optional and not required, and they're not allowed to charge any kind of bogus fees. The ridiculous part is that major dealer associations in the United States are already attempting to stop these new rules. They're petitioning them in an attempt to block them, which is absolutely absurd because these rules are not going to do anything to harm the good, honest dealerships because they're already following them. The only dealerships that are going to be negatively impacted by these new rules are the dishonest, unprofessional ones that are price gouging consumers. So I think what the dealer associations really need to ask themselves is, Which dealerships do you want to protect? The good ones or the bad ones? Consumer protection is extremely important, and we really need to have these types of rules in place in the auto industry. And as a consumer advocate, I'm going to continue to do my part to make sure that we see more of it in the future. So in the meantime, let me know what you thought of this video, and if you want to share your car buying experience, just leave a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also check out my other videos by clicking these links over here. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, and if you need additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to visit carhelpcan.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.